Hello, everybody. Happy Monday morning and happy Bachelorette premiere day. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We're going to get to a non-charity story. We've got another Bachelorette, Becca, announcing in the least dramatic way possible that her podcast no longer exists, Bachelor Happy Hour. For all those looking to listen to Bachelor Happy Hour, may I recommend Bachelor Rush Hour? You barely have to change the names of the podcast, but you'll get a completely different take on things. And that's nothing against Becca. She was a company employee. She worked for the show. She was critical in certain ways of the show, but probably, towed the line, as most people do. So we're going to get into this right now. We're going to have live streams tonight at 8 o'clock East Coast time. That's right, 1 hour later than our normal time because charity season starts at 9. That's right. Take a nap. Get over it. It's 1 hour later. So 8 p.m. East Coast time and then 11 p.m. East Coast time after the premiere episode, which of course will include the dramatic trailer and we'll see how the show is going to shape up. We'll have all of that for you today on this here live stream. All right, let's get into it. So, yeah, we've changed the graphics around a little bit, lightening up the bricks. And let's go to what Becca had to say. Of course, Game of Roses podcast, like ours, is independently produced, so their take on things is more of a company battle. They said, breaking Bachelor Happy Hour is over. This is obviously a big win for T in the Sauce Wars, as Bachelor Happy Hour was the original Warner Brothers sanctioned Bachelor podcast. No word on clickbait yet. We are entering a new era, and of course, when they talk about the Sauce Wars, they talk about the wars between the independent podcasts, such as myself, and those that are corporate. And it's not a big deal. It's nothing against the employees. It just goes to show, when it's all said and done, when the show's over, what do you have to show for it? You move on, but you don't have equity or you don't have an email list of all of your fans. Maybe you built some on Instagram. But either way, here's what Becca had to say.
I actually received quite a bit of DMs regarding Happy Hour. It's obviously been a while since there's been any recordings or since I've even talked about it. It's just time for some different things, but I will forever be so grateful and thankful for all of the fans and listeners out there. I mean, I worked on Happy Hour for 3+ years through COVID, through some crazy life transitions and big moves and touring. It got me through all of that, and I couldn't have done it without all of you incredible listeners. So thank you for tuning in and standing by me and for all of the support throughout the past couple of years. It means the world.
And of course, it's a sentimental time when the show's ending here. We're going to go into some stats in a second, but let's see what Becca's saying on her Instagram stories. Someone asked her, what's your favorite thing about Tommy? She said, every stinking part of him. He's the most loving and unique human I've ever met. I do love his sense of humor and calmness to my storm, but he could put his things away once in a while. I'm sure he's got a lot of shoes out there. So anyway.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting Aladdin vibes right now. But
of course, Becca's pregnant here. She's with a child, at least one. I don't know. Maybe she's got more.
Shared this set from Amazon yesterday on my
So now she's getting to become a potential mommy blogger. She's got her maternity inspired outfits. I think if I were Becca, I would consider starting my own podcast. Becca, you know how to podcast. Becca's a fantastic conversationalist. The thing that was tough with her podcast was Michelle Young not getting the chance to interject. And I don't blame Becca for that. Becca's steering the ship. It's hard. It is so hard. You can tell when I interview people through Zoom, it is so hard when we have multiple people there because it's not just are you done, am I done, and all that. Then you have to factor in, is my other co-host getting enough words in? I think one-on-one conversations are better in the podcast world unless everyone involved has great rapport and knows, how to let each other talk.
I actually am. I did not buy tickets.
The question was, are you going to see Taylor Swift in Los Angeles?
Invited from a brand, so I'm very thankful.
Oh, she gets to go to Taylor Swift. Unfair.
I don't even know what to wear to Taylor Swift because
we're old. Yep, we got it.
Hi.
All right, so there she is. He showed up just in time to watch me finish packing.
Back with my babies.
Of course, Thomas loves to, if you're, you must feel so helpless as the husband in the situation, or the father, I should say, where you're not with child. You got to support your partner, get her weird cravings, peanut butter, asparagus. I don't know. What do you crave out there when you're pregnant? But either way, he's like, all I can do is rubber belly.
It's been 84 years.
So there they are. Okay, so the family's looking great. Someone responded. She said, "Any update on your what does it say? I can't even read what that says here. Placenta? What is she doing with her placenta?" And then someone said, she said, "I'm no expert, but I think it's against the rules to tell a pregnant woman to chill. Just ask Thomas." Yeah, let's not tell a pregnant woman to do anything. You do you, boo. So anyway, Game of Roses had the update. Let's see what Bachelor Data has to say. Becca Kufrin announces she's leaving the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast after 3 years. It'll be interesting to see what happens to the podcast. So I guess that's the question. Is the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast coming back without her? My guess is no. And then also Bachelor Data put the stats together. Seems like the whole podcast is done. Wild. Bachelor Happy Hour was their biggest and best rated podcast. Here's my analysis on all the podcasts hosted by former contestants last year. So we can get into that in a second here. Let's click right into it. Of course, look, I don't think Suzanne has my podcast on here. Obviously, I'm not an alumni, but look, these are heavy hitting podcasts. Chatty Broads, 21,000 ratings. Bachelor Happy Hour, 14,000 ratings. My podcast is like around 600 or so. Higher Learning, 10,000. I mean, these are big hitting podcasts. Help I Suck at Dating, and then there's some that are in here. Clickbait did terrible, and my guess for Clickbait doing terrible is the more. Okay, corporate podcasts suck. Someone like Jason Tartick, who does Trading Secrets, he owns that. He's flying all over the country to get interviews. He's doing them in the flesh. They're developing their YouTube. You hustle when you have an equity into something. Becca Kufrin essentially, and it's nothing to blame on her, is renting out her time. She's an employee. She's on salary. I'll make X amount. She doesn't. But when you get to see how much you can make when the money is your cut, when you get the bumps, when you get new advertisers and new downloads and things like that, that's a whole nother ball game. Jason Tartick, these bigger indie podcasts are making really good money. Really, really good money. Clickbait, on the other hand, had 3 hosts. Grocery Store Joe, Tasha was there for a minute. She's still on the cover. Who knows? Natasha. For $1 million, I couldn't tell you who the most recent hosts were on that. Is it Tia? I don't know. And then because of that, because their time's divided and there's no main face to the show, they can pass the buck. There's really no driving ship. So that is quickly out the door. Then you get Bachelor in the City podcast. God bless Pilot Pete. We met him. We had a good time. He's a good guy. But I think what they realized was, this is kind of hard to get a following and make money doing this thing. It ain't easy. And yet they still had almost 1,000 ratings. Talking It Out also, I'm not sure if Talking It Out still exists. And then, of course, some that you just, Demi Goddess didn't, I don't think she's still doing hers. And then that's what you have there. So anyway, Bachelor Happy Hour, they're still pretty high in the ratings. They've still done well, although people, their reviews, 4-star, is that good? I don't know. My podcast here, we're still hovering at 4.8 stars. We're hanging in there, and a lot of new comments and stuff. You guys have been really kind of fast in sticking with us here. So again, not to beat a dead horse here, but there's a different world between those that produce their own content and those that work for a corporation. And I've said this before, unless someone's handing me what has to be, honestly, I don't exaggerate, a $5 million check. It has to be something that's like crazy money to even consider giving up something that you created, because over time, what this could become could be so much more. And so that's why the Bachelor Rush Hour podcast has been something that we've pursued here. This week, actually, Bachelor Rush Hour podcast, with the conjunction of the new season, we've got more sponsors than ever. We got more people that want to be a part of the program. It's all because of you guys. I want to thank you all so much. We took a risk, though. We took a risk when we decided to move the Driving with Dave episodes to my side channel, the Dave Neal Show. But I got to tell you, it's a 1 out of 7, which means it's the best video we've released so far. It's got the most watch time. I'm going to play you guys a clip of this right now, but after this episode's over, you can click this link. There'll be a link right here or in the comment section, and you can watch this episode if you haven't already. So sorry that you're stuck in the Prius, which, by the way,
I love it. I love it in here. It's great.
When I told some of my audience that I was going to be interviewing you, the first thing someone said was, "Is she going to be okay getting into a Prius?"
Oh my God, that is ridiculous.
Have you been in a Prius before?
God. Yes, I've been in a Prius before.
In an Uber?
Yes. Okay. No, but I've also rented one.
Okay.
No, I didn't rent one.
That's all
I
they
didn't
had.
rent one. My friend rented one, and then I was in it.
You wanted the Mercedes G-Wagon,
All right, so anyway, so my conversation with Corinne was pretty hilarious. It got deep, and there was a lot of fun moments. It's kind of anyway. If you haven't checked it out already, don't walk over to that. And as far as Becca's concerned, hey Becca, if you're listening, if I could give you any unsolicited advice whatsoever, here's what I would say: start your own podcast and take whatever you learned from being on the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast, apply it, and whatever you didn't like, change it, make it your own, use all of your connections, and you'll be able, I mean, if you think you're doing well as an influencer, I think as a podcaster, as an indie podcaster, you'll be off contract, you'll be able to say what you think. You guys remember we had that issue with Michelle Young where they were upset that the blackface conundrum wasn't addressed on the live after show, and then they had to address it on the podcast, which of course was the corporation trying to play both sides. Tell us how you really feel. The authenticity you build, Becca, and anyone listening, the authenticity you build, you might not make everyone your friend, but I think you'll make the people that really vibe with you fans for life, and that won't hurt when it comes to the cost of diapers out there. You can use every fan you can get. All right, well, congrats on the run. We'll be back after this with more content.